Last week, we discussed how the sadistic duo of Fred and Rose came to be. We discussed Fred's upbringing, their first murders that they initially got away with, and how a sexual abuse trial nearly locked them away. Between November 1973 and April 1975, 9 victims were murdered and buried under the patio and in the garage at 25 Cromwell. The first murder at 25 Cromwell came just 3 months after their abuse trial. I'm Logan.
And I'm Ben.
This is Tinfoil Talk.
3 months, huh?
3 months.
Wow, that's pretty quick. I mean, all the furniture probably wasn't even in the house.
No, they were already at 25 Cromwell. They remember they had like the boarding house essentially. They had the bed sits.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep,
Then Carolyn Owens was a nanny. She wanted to leave.
So they get this trial behind them.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. It's coming back to me now.
I told you it's gonna pick up quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Buried underneath the garage, huh?
And in the patio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
well,
So this week, well, it's been a week for you guys. It's been 15 minutes for us because we recorded these. We recorded these on the same night. Nonetheless, we're gonna review 2 beers.
Yep.
The second one is it's from a brewing company called Straight to Ale.
Straight to Ale.
Mm-hmm. Kinda local, brewed in Huntsville.
Hang on. Straight to Ale, Stout at the Devil.
Stout at the Devil.
Oatmeal stout with coffee.
Yeah.
This is...
I don't have high hopes.
And then it says Southern born, Southern brewed.
Yeah.
And this is from Alabama?
It's brewed in Huntsville, yeah.
Okay.
I picked this because the can looks badass.
It does. It looks pretty sick. It gives me... Stout at the Devil, Straight to Ale.
This guy looks like Steven Tyler a little bit.
I was going to say Vince Neil.
Okay, yeah.
Motley Crue action.
Sure. Okay.
8% alcohol.
8% alcohol.
Wow. I'm going to crack my...
Oatmeal stout with coffee.
With coffee.
That gets me because, I don't know. Again, it looked cool. It sounded cool. Hopefully Fred
cool,
West went straight to hell when he died. And hopefully Rose does the same. So that's kind of why I went with this. But
okay.
let's
do the crack test. Go ahead. Not bad.
It's Chris. Okay.
Okay, consistency. Give it a smell. Oh boy. I feel like we're...
That is strong.
Dude, look at it.
That's dark.
That is very
shit.
dark. I'm getting already... I've already forgotten the name of that other one we tried. Again.
Dead Guy Ale.
Dead
Guy. The one from Waco?
No. The one right there.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't see it.
Dead Guy Ale.
Yeah. I'm getting vibes from that. You want to go first? Take first sip? Or are you going to me to do first sips?
I'll do the first sip. You did the first sip last week.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm messing with my froth, buddy. Give me a second.
We're doing rocket science over here. There you go.
All right.
Okay.
Straight to Ale, Stout at the Devil.
Straight to Ale, Stout at the Devil.
Brewed in Huntsville, Alabama.
How we feel? I'm going to go in.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh my.
I really like that.
Wait a minute.
Wow. Okay. The coffee is very strong.
I am pleasantly surprised.
I like that a lot.
I actually think my wife would like this. She's a big, what are they? The chocolate martinis?
I have no idea.
With coffee in them.
Chocolate martini with coffee?
Yeah.
She probably would have liked the Dead Guy Ale.
A shot of espresso, and I forget what it's called. That's really good.
That's really good. I like that a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna give that an 8.
Ooh, wow.
I really like that.
Did you look this one up on your beer rating website?
Yes. So, Dead Guy Ale by Rogue, respectfully.
It was 8 something, right?
It was 88.
That's ridiculous.
Straight to Ale, Stout at the Devil, brewed in Huntsville, Alabama. Shout out those guys. is rated 89 out of 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I
think it's truly 89 out of 100.
I can agree with that. I mean, I'm going to...
That's really good.
Off the rip, I'm going to give this at least a 7.5.
Okay.
At the very least. I think that's going to go up as I continue to drink this.
That's really good. I am very pleasantly surprised.
And it's 8%.
Yeah.
This is one of those where you drink 3 of these after already having a handful of Busch Lights and one Dead Guy's bullshit beer. We're in for some Fred and Rose West.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking.
We are. It's only going to go downhill from here. We're having a lot of fun, having some laughs right about now. This story is going to suck.
Well,
it already sucks, but it's going to get a lot worse.
Well, there's no sense in in edging our listener on, so I say we get right to it.
Edging our listeners, okay, yeah.
No, I said edging our listener.
Listener.
Yeah.
There's 5 of them. We have 5.
I feel like me and you have to be at least 2 of those.
No, so the 5 that's we really have like 7 to 8-ish downloads.
Okay, cool.
Per episode, so pretty consistently, we have about 5 people that, for some reason, really enjoyed hearing us talk.
Okay, cool. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you.
And gals, and they thems. Mm-hmm. We love you.
Yeah, I don't know how true the analytics are, but it says right now it's 100% male. So
I'll take that too.
5 random dudes out there.
Fellas.
Yeah.
Appreciate you listening in.
All right. 19-year-old Linda Gow frequented the West's residence where she was involved with 2 different male lodgers. Linda moved in officially on April 19th, 1973, and just one day later, on April 20th, the West began telling the other tenants Linda was told to leave because she had hit one of the kids. Linda's remains were found in the garage pit 20 years later. Linda's jaw had been completely wrapped in surgical tape, and she had 2 tubes inserted in her nose to allow for breathing. She also had numerous bones missing, assumedly for Fred's collection. Linda was tortured similarly to how Carolyn Owens was tortured.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah, it sucks. It's not fun.
20 years later.
Yeah.
How did she reported missing? They never found her.
So
was she a drifter?
You're gonna notice with a lot of the women that end up missing at 25 Cromwell, they're all, for the most part, rebellious teens or
was Linda a prostitute or?
No, I don't think that at all, but she was a free spirit in 1973. It said she was involved with 2 male lodgers. Free love kind of thing.
Okay.
Think hippie is what I picked up.
Okay.
And she assumed most everyone did, Fred and Rose West were just these good people that had this bed sit to rent out, and I mean, unfortunately for her, she was wrong.
Damn. Hate that for Linda.
Yeah. But 20 years later, they got away with this for the most part. 1994, we'll get into it. I'm not going to give any spoilers. But 1994, something happens that prompts the police to start looking at Fred and Rose. And that's when all of these bodies I'm about to mention get found out.
Let's dive head first into it then.
On the night of November 10th, 1973, Carol Ann Cooper went to the movies with her boyfriend and was last seen waiting at the bus stop nearby. Fred, either acting alone or with Rose, abducted Carol at the bus stop. Her face was bound with surgical tape and her arms were bound with braiding cloth. Fred and Rose suspended her from the wooden beams in the cellar and subjected her to sexual abuse and torture for an unknown amount of time before she died due to asphyxiation or strangulation. Her body was found along with the others years later with tubes inserted in her nostrils so she could breathe while they tortured her. Lucy Catherine Partington was abducted from the Pittville Pump Room bus stop by the West on the night of December 27, 1973. Like the others, Fred and Rose bound her face, arms, and legs, inserting 2 tubes into her nostrils so that she could breathe while they tortured her for days before she died. 72 bones were missing from her body when they recovered it from the basement of 25 Cromwell 22 years later, in 1994. Lucy, unlike most of the other victims at 25 Cromwell, came from a middle-class family. She was home on winter break from Exeter University when she was kidnapped.
God damn, dude.
Lucy.
72 bones?
72 bones.
Is there any record of which bones?
So, like I said, I think last week, a lot of them I read had the patella missing. It's like the kneecap, for whatever reason, was one that Fred kind of fixated on. But no, like as far as like a in-depth record, no. But it's a safe bet, multiple fingers and kneecaps.
72, that's a lot of bones, man.
Yeah.
Like, you think about all 10 fingers, all 10 toes, like, even feet. Yeah. Holy moly.
Yeah. So, like it said, Lucy was kind of the outlier here. She was, nothing against the other women that were found, but she was a college student. She middle class family. She wasn't a rebellious. She was 21 years old. She was in college at home on Christmas break. And to me, it kind of seems like 72 bones is a lot, like you said. Kind of seems like there was more to this than a sexual thing for the West. Like they grew up poor. They were still poor. She was this middle-class college student. I feel like there was more to it for her.
So you think maybe to Fred and Rose, this is maybe some type of, not revenge, but maybe some type of like spiteful.
They may have some type of resentment. They may have had some type of resentment for Lucy because she wasn't like troubled like they had been for their entire lives up until this point.
Wow. 72 bones is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
There's only, 260
something? I don't know.
I was going to say 200 and something.
200 plus for sure.
Yeah. Less than 300.
Yeah.
And you took out 72.
Yeah. Third, basically.
And the thing with Rose, is there any evidence of traumatic injury at any point? Or is she just... I mean, obviously, I remember her... She was abused by her father. Yeah. Both sexually and physically. But was there any trauma, like traumatic injury? Like with Fred, you have traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
Which obviously left him not of sound mind. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if this is more of a psychological thing for Rose. Where she was raised, beaten, sexually abused, things like that.
Yeah, so the West could be like a case study on the nature versus nurture debate. There's no evidence that Rose had any kind of like brain injury or anything like that. But if what they say is true, her father, raped her multiple times, and then she gets with Fred, who was the same kind of person.
Yeah.
Maybe in her mind, she's like, okay, I like this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Who knows? Because, you can't go into the mind of Rose, so you don't know what she was thinking or how she thinks. Obviously something's not right.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
It seems...
Psychologically, it's hard to know, not being an expert, what they're thinking.
Still, like, to this day, she is adamant that she didn't murder anyone, she didn't rape anyone, none of that. But to me, it kind of seems like she was more involved with the torture and like the sexual abuse, and then the murder was kind of Fred's thing. But she was on board with that because maybe she didn't want to get caught. I don't know.
If this many people are being abused, murdered, raped in your home, you know about it.
Yeah.
If you're not involved, then you're okay with it because it's happening and you're aware of it. Yeah. Doesn't make it any better. Like,
it's not what she says. She swears she had no idea Fred was doing any of this.
I don't buy that for 1 second. You don't I don't care how big the house is or where it's happening. There's no way you're completely secluded from that type of environment.
Yeah.
In the same house. Like, there's just no way.
Therese Singenthaler, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Therese is believed to have immigrated to London sometime in the early 1970s to pursue a degree at London College. Around Easter in 1974, Therese embarked on a hitchhiking trip to Ireland to visit a friend, but never made it. She crossed paths with Fred and Rose somewhere along the way, and her remains were found beneath 25 Cromwell, with the same signature as the others.
So they have no idea any of the specifics for this woman, Therese?
I didn't find much on her, but yeah, I mean, she came from India. She wanted to go to London to attend college, and it just seems like she was unfortunate enough to bump into Fred and Rose.
Wow. This
was kind of like when they were really just killing, I guess, the most consistently.
And how old was this woman?
Therese was 21.
Okay.
Therese,
did we mention how old was the previous Lucy?
Let me go back through these. Therese was 21. Lucy was also 21. Caroline Cooper was 15 years old. And Linda Gow was 19.
Holy moly. Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty, young women.
Young women, yeah. I think, the oldest... well, no, Rena... I don't know how old Rena was. I think she was older than 21. I'm going to say Rena was probably the oldest. But the main victims at 25 Cromwell, the oldest was 21. Shirley Hubbard, 15, was born Shirley Lloyd, but decided she wanted to go by Shirley Hubbard after her parents split up when she was 2 and gave her up to state care. While attending Droitwich High School, Shirley disappeared on her way home from work one night. A missing persons report was filed, but Shirley's remains were found under 25 Cromwell in 1994.
So I'm guessing there's just not much information on these people, and I'm assuming Fred and Rose more than likely never really gave much information.
So there's not a lot of information. Fred gave a lot of information. Fred loved to talk, but...
How much of it is trustworthy?
Exactly, yeah. They seem to look for, like, the younger women who maybe had it a little rough growing up. A lot of serial killers will look for this kind of demographic. Remember Gary Ridgway, the Girl Never Killer? Mm-hmm. Like 40-something plus, most of which were prostitutes. Yeah.
Somebody who's not necessarily going to have somebody looking for them.
Right.
Like a couple days after they go missing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, in Shirley Hubbard's case, a missing persons report was filed, but again, we go back to Fred and Rose on the outside looking in, were just this stereotypical English couple. Like, no one would have suspected that they were capable of this.
Well, and without the evidence, like, it would almost just take somebody just randomly pointing them out for them to even become suspects.
Yeah. I mean, still, to this day, had they not found the bodies under 25 Cromwell, we're going off Fred West's words. Like, there's just not a lot on these girls, unfortunately.
Yeah. Jeez, let's keep going through the freaking list here. This is insane.
Juanita Mott, 18, was born in Gloucester in 1957 and moved to London in 1972 to pursue work after school. In April of 1975, it's believed that Juanita was traveling home to Gloucester when she fell prey to the Wests. No missing persons report was filed, but her parents did contact the Missing Persons Bureau, and they reached out to media to get the word out. Juanita, like everyone else thus far, was found beneath 25 Cromwell with, the same signature that they typically gave.
The tape and the nose holes to breathe.
A lot of it, surgical tape wrapped around your head. You have 2 plastic tubes inserted in your nostrils so you can breathe, but it's not... I mean, they're torturing you the whole time. Yeah. They're keeping you alive so they can torture you.
Is this like when you say there's surgical tape on their whole head, so they can't see or speak or anything like that. They literally can just breathe through their nose.
That's all they can do while they're doing whatever they want to do.
That is absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
And I hope that these people didn't suffer long. Like, truly. That's the only thing that I hope happened from this, was that they didn't suffer long.
One of them, I mean, you hate to speculate, but I mean, there was evidence that they were alive in some cases for days before they eventually died.
Jeez, man.
Shirley Ann Robinson, 18. Shirley was the West's first murder in 3 years. She met Fred at the Green Lantern Cafe in April of 1977 and began living in the West house around the same time. Shirley, who allegedly claimed to be Rose's replacement, became pregnant with Fred's baby and was 8 months pregnant when she disappeared. Rose resented Shirley, and when her body was found, there was no evidence of restraining or sexual abuse. Shirley was extensively dismembered. Her unborn child was removed and was missing several bones when they were discovered in the garden at 25 Cromwell. Rose attempted to file for maternity benefits under Shirley's name, but was unsuccessful. To this, there was no sexual nature.
This was Rose. 100%.
Or it was Rose telling Fred, you gotta get rid of her.
Man, this is getting to a point, like, it's almost hard to consider them human beings at this point.
This is one of the most frustrating cases I've ever read.
I mean, this is borderline insane. And if you don't know about this case, which I did not go into this, I've seen the Netflix documentary, came out not long ago. I've seen the snippets, like the trailer from it, where you just hover over it with the remote or whatever. Mm-hmm. Have not watched the documentary. This is making me absolutely not want to watch it even more, because this is infuriating.
It's a really good documentary. The subject matter sucks. It's not fun, looking into this kind of stuff, but the documentary is really well done. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just every single, it's just a list of names here, and you're talking about how they were murdered and tortured and abused horribly, and now you have a woman who was a teenager who was 8 months pregnant, and the baby that was in her body was found missing bones. See, to me, that's Fred's signature. How is it possible for a human being to do that? Because I know Fred, obviously, the brain injury, the surgery. No, it's not. There's something else at play here. This can't be. I mean, there's been millions of people have brain injuries that they don't end up like this. It's something deeper, for sure. You think so? Maybe the combination. Maybe it's the upbringing. Look at Rose's upbringing. Look at Fred's upbringing. Mm-hmm. According to Fred, their upbringings are almost identical. Poor, abusive, negligent parents, and you turn out to be somebody like this. It goes. I mean, maybe that's the correlation. Maybe it's not the brain injury at all. They speculated the brain injury altered his impulse control, but how many people have these kind of thoughts day to day? You know what I mean? Like, nobody thinks like that. Well, and how many people have thoughts like that don't actually do anything about it? And then maybe like Fred was having these thoughts, and then he falls out of a 2-story window. I can't imagine someone thinks, oh, I'm going to murder this pregnant woman and then dismember the baby. Like, I can't imagine anybody thinks that. I hate to think anybody thinks that at all, but clearly Fred and Rose West were thinking that, because they did it. Mm-hmm. And then to those of us that don't think that and think that it's just disgusting, how do you justify, if Rose, are either of them alive? Or is that something? Rose is still alive. She's in prison. We'll get into Fred. Okay. All right. So we can go ahead and we can continue then. But yes, I want to just reiterate, Shirley was different. Allegedly, I don't know how true it is, but she claimed to be Rose's replacement. So she was fully on board. Like, she knew the kind of man Fred was. We haven't mentioned it often, but Fred was still abusive to the girls. Like, Anne Marie, she's still alive. Yeah. She's written books. She's done tons of interviews. Fred and Rose were sexually abusive to their children throughout this entire time. Is it noted whether or not the kids are aware of
like the murders that's happening, or is it mostly kind of not?
I don't think they were aware of that.
Okay.
But then again, you're talking about children who are being sexually abused by their parents. That's kind of,
right. I mean,
that's all they're really thinking about.
Yeah, and that in and of itself is enough to me to warrant somebody just being killed. Like Fred and Rose, at its base level. Anyway, we can get into it.
Yeah. Shirley was different, and kind of like the only one that wasn't. There wasn't a sexual nature to it. Like, it was, to me, it kind of seems like Rose was intimidated by Shirley.
Yeah, a little bit. And
then she told Fred to get rid of her, or she got rid of her, and then Fred, creepy little fuck, just decided to do just horrible shit.
Yeah, that's kind of how it seems to me. Was that Rose? Because the MO of murder itself with her is different.
I didn't put it in here, but Rose would brag to neighbors, because Rose was pregnant at this time, at the same time as Shirley.
Oh.
She would brag to the neighbors that Shirley was pregnant with Fred's baby.
What do you gain from that? If you want to keep up the normal person appearance,
I think it plays into their fantasy.
You think so?
I think they were so sexually charged that they just lost a grasp on reality.
Could be.
They're fucked up human beings.
I really hope there are not more people out there like Fred and Rose, though I fear there probably are.
Yeah. Allison Chambers, 16, who also went by Allie, was born in West Germany, and her dad was a member of the RAF. Allie was reportedly a rebellious teenager. Allie was put in a children's home in Gloucester when she ran away around May of 1979. She wound up at the West House. She told her family she was staying with a, quote, great family. Her family contacted the Missing Persons Bureau when she was last seen alive around August 1979. Her remains were found under the patio at 25 Cromwell, with the same signature that they are now known for. Heather West, 16. Fred and Rose's first child. She was always suspicious of her parents. Her and her sisters were subject to their abuse her whole life. However, after Anne-Marie ran away in 1979, Heather and May became the primary focus of Fred and Rose's abuse. Not much is known about what led to her being murdered, but it's likely that she insinuated she was going to contact the police. In 1987, at 16 years old, she was murdered by her parents and buried under 25 Cromwell. Despite telling the neighbors they believed Heather had ran away, the Wests never filed a missing persons report. Yeah.
Their own daughter?
Yeah. So them not filing the missing persons report, we're going to get into it soon, that is a key point that eventually led them to get captured.
I mean, yeah, I would imagine that's a humongous, for the prosecution at least.
Yeah.
Your 16-year-old daughter goes missing and you don't file a report? Do you know how long, after they murdered her, that she was reported missing? Or
we'll get into it.
Did somebody... Oh, we'll get to it.
We'll get into it.
Okay, all right. Continue.
August 6th, 1992. Fred and Rose West were finally arrested on August 6, 1992, when their youngest child, Louise, 13, confided in some of her close friends that she had been sexually abused by her father since she was 11, while her mother did nothing but blame her for the abuse. The police searched 25 Cromwell on August 6, 1992, saying they were looking for stolen property. Large amounts of sexual paraphernalia was found, including 99 pornographic videos, some homemade. The children were taken into foster care the same day, and they further implicated their mother in the abuse. They stated to police that their father routinely threatened them, saying they'd end up, quote, buried under the patio like their sister, if they told anyone what was happening in the house. Fred was initially charged with 3 counts of rape and 1 charge of buggery, and Rose was charged as his accomplice.
If you don't mind me interjecting real quick, what is buggery?
Sodomy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's...
I just was curious. I wasn't familiar with the term.
The police asked where Heather was, and the West maintained that she had left on her own accord and had not been in contact. Rose would eventually claim to have sporadic phone contact with Heather and was released on bail under the condition she would not contact Fred or her children while the police investigated. Fred staunchly denied all of the allegations. When Anne Marie heard the news, she contacted the police and gave a full statement outlining the extensive abuse she and her siblings had endured from their parents. Anne Marie would also say she believed Fred and Rose had murdered Rena, Charmaine, and Heather, as she had been trying to make contact with them for years but had been unsuccessful. May and Louise didn't want to see their parents go to jail, so they stopped cooperating with the police. This prompted them to really push to find Heather, who they still believed to have been a runaway at this point.
I feel like you say stopped cooperating with the police was probably Fred and Rose forcing them to stop cooperating with the police.
Sure it was. Yeah.
I mean, there's no way, if you're, especially, like, imagine you have several siblings and all of you are being sexually abused by your parents.
Yeah.
It's really hard to not be afraid of those parents. I can't speak on that personally.
Yeah.
I had two wonderful, loving parents growing up, and I don't have any siblings.
Shout out those two.
Yeah. Shout out to the Rents.
The what?
The Rents.
The Rent.
It's short for parents. You wouldn't get it.
I don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not hip and cool. Fresh.
Okay.
That's what the kids are saying.
Okay.
But if you're not, like, I can't imagine if I'm alone going to the police and I'm like, what, 13, 14 years old?
Yeah. So Louise was 13. May was older. I don't know exactly how old she was, but she was older than Louise.
But imagine you're 14, 15 maybe, and the police are like, have your parents been abusing you? And keep in mind, your parents have been abusing you your whole life. Yeah. And you think to yourself, well, if I say yes, it's only going to get worse.
The frustrating part about this, and I don't want to victim blame May on August 6th, like, she kicked this off. She told her schoolmates that she was being abused at home. And then when the time comes, we're going to go to court. We're going to figure out what's going on. I mean, it was Fred and Rose. They probably intimidated her to the point where she didn't even want to do that.
Well, and they probably told her, too, like, hey, if you admit to this, me and your mom are going to go away. You're going to get put in some home, and they're just going to keep doing this to you.
Guilt tripped her, yeah.
And they're probably like, but if you deny it, we'll stop doing it to you, all of this stuff. Yeah. Made her think that going back on her own word would help her in the long run.
With the younger West children no longer cooperating and the police unable to locate Heather, all the charges against the West had to be dropped. Though the West children were to remain in foster care, however, the first domino had fallen. Detective Constable Hazel Savage had spoken with Anne Marie, and she truly believed the West had done evil things at 25 Cromwell, so she began to dig deeper. DC Savage was able to successfully obtain a search warrant on February 23, 1994. The following day, they arrived at 25 Cromwell to serve the warrant, and Rose West is said to have gone pale while telling her oldest son, Stephen, to get Fred. Rose contradicted her previous statements when she was asked about Heather's whereabouts, and she became flustered and argumentative.
So I wasn't going to say anything about Detective Constable Hazel Savage.
Yeah.
First of all, dope-ass name. Then you doubled down and you said DC Savage. Mm-hmm. Even more dope-ass name.
Yeah.
Is this a man or a woman?
This is a woman.
It's a woman?
This is a woman. Why do you sound so shocked?
Because this is 1970.
No, this is 1994.
This is 1994.
Are you following along at all?
No.
Yeah, I have a note at the end. We're going to talk about DC Savage because her and I fucking forgot his name, but there was a psychologist that helped like get Fred talking during like the interview stage.
Oh yeah.
Those two you could give a lot of credit to.
Nice.
That like ended up with, the convictions and all that.
Well, Detective Constable Hazel Savage is probably the coolest title and name I think I've ever heard in my life. That's not even a joke.
Yeah. Alright, so in that clip, a little hard to understand, but Fred kind of tells on himself. He gets his stories mixed up. He initially admits to murdering Heather West because the pressure was just too much. They kind of knew what was going on. DC Hazel Savage knew what was going on. He then admits to Shirley Robinson. I go find the audio clips. They're on YouTube. He admits to Shirley Robinson saying she's the one that caused the problem. Later on in that interview, he accidentally slips up and says something along the lines of, where's this going to end? That's 3. It's a long pause. And then he says, 2. I mean 2. So.
Slipped up.
He slipped up. He eventually goes on to say that was one of Shirley's mates. He doesn't give a name.
Right.
But, I mean, you said it was just Heather. I'm not gonna give any more explanation because I'm about to explain it all.
Okay.
That's that.
Fred has slipped up.
Fred thought
he was in charge, thought he was in control. Yeah. He has slipped up.
So, the morning, I don't know if that clip was recorded on this day, but on February 25th, 1994, Fred told Stephen, their oldest son, to, quote, take care of your mom and sell the house. I've done something really bad. As soon as the police arrived to begin excavating the property, Fred admitted to killing Heather and asked to be taken to the police station to make a full confession. Fred did this to keep them from excavating. He was hoping he could take the rap for Heather, and then that would be the end of it.
So they wouldn't find the rest of the
So they
bodies.
wouldn't find everything else. I mean, at this point, he probably feels like Superman because he's gotten away with how much? Like, how many cases have fallen apart? How many bodies have they not found at this point?
Yeah, I mean, how many times has he just murdered somebody cold blood outright and completely gotten away with it because they just tossed it up to missing persons or whatever? I mean, what do you expect him to do? Like, he's probably thinking to himself, I'll take the fall for my daughter. Okay, yeah, I killed her. She's buried, blah, blah, blah. Don't dig her up.
Yeah.
He's hoping they just won't do it.
Yeah. Or I think eventually he's hoping he can take them to exactly where she is buried.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is. End of story.
Yeah. Maybe he can put some kind of plan together to...
In his mind, he's thinking all they know about is Heather.
Yeah.
But at this point, Anne-Marie, given what she's told police and what Hazel Savage is thinking, I think they know he's bullshitting.
Yeah.
And him being the pathological liar that he was.
Yeah, and look at his history, too.
Yeah.
He's got an insanely long laundry list of charges that were either mysteriously dropped or conveniently dropped, or he, took the brunt of it and got off light.
The police found Heather's remains. However, they also found a third thigh bone that did not belong to Heather West. This forced Fred to admit that he also killed Shirley Robinson. Upon excavating more of the patio, the police found another set of bones that didn't belong to Heather or Shirley. Fred admitted to killing one of, quote, Shirley's mates as well, but was adamant there were no others. The fact that Fred was only admitting to more murders after they discovered more and more remains, the police began to search the entire property. When they began excavating the basement, Fred wrote a note to give to the investigator saying, I, Frederick West, authorize my solicitor, Howard Ogden, to advise Superintendent Bennett that I wish to admit a further approx 9 killings, expressly Charmaine, Rena, Linda Gow, and others to be identified. F. West. All the bodies were recovered from the cellar, and Fred admitted to torturing all of them before he murdered them. Fred insisted that Rose had no idea about any of the murders, but she was arrested on April 20th and questioned extensively. Rose maintained her innocence. However, on May 6, 1994, Fred was charged with 12 of the murders, and Rose was jointly charged with 9. Anna McFall's body was found in the nearby cornfield on June 7th, and her murder was added onto the charges. Rose began ignoring Fred's letters and even started speaking out publicly against him, which prompted him to rescind his statement that Rose had not been aware, And he was now saying that she had, quote, total culpability in the murders.
Obviously. Dude, there's no possible way that, 12 people are bound, tortured, murdered, dismembered, and their bones kept. And you buried them both under your patio, in your garage, and out in the cornfield by your house without your spouse knowing about it and your kids.
Or your 10 children. I haven't mentioned that. They have 10 kids in the house at this point.
There's 10 children.
10 children.
In the house. And obviously I'm not blaming the kids.
No,
the kids
of
were
course
probably
not.
terrified out because they're seeing this stuff happen.
Rose led with an iron fist from everything I've read.
Yeah, and they're probably thinking, well, if I say anything, I'm probably next.
They had that joke. Fred would tell the kids they're going to end up under the patio like Heather.
Yeah,
he told them that.
And that's not even a joke.
No, not at all.
He meant that.
Yes.
If look at their older sister. Mm-hmm. This is horrible. This is absolutely horrible.
Yeah. But it's...
It's one of those where... Because I'm assuming... Well, we'll get to it. We'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up real quick.
Yeah. Fred West committed suicide New Year's Day of 1995 in his cell. Rose West was found guilty of all 10 murder charges she was facing and will spend the rest of her life in prison. She still claims she is innocent to this day.
So, what I was about to say, it's people like this that I wish Fred West would not have been able to commit suicide.
Yeah.
I wish he was still alive, and I wish they would put him in just a, 8x8 concrete box. You get a piece of bread and...
Nah, fuck bread. Throw rocks at him.
You get just enough to barely keep you alive.
I understand.
Like, he gets a glass of water and a sandwich a day. Like, I mean just enough to where you physically and biologically can remain living. But you live in just a complete hellhole. Yeah. And I wish it was like that for the rest of his life. And I wish that was the same for Rose, too. Like, I wish... And she's still alive. She's still in prison.
She's still alive, yeah.
But more than likely, I mean, she got hot shower, free meals, health care, things like that. Yeah. And she doesn't have to do anything. She just sits around all day.
The thing with Fred, he was under strict suicide watch ever since he was arrested. They were checking his cell every 15 minutes to make sure he was still alive. However, when he started doing all these interviews and giving all these quotes, they kind of, I guess, thought, oh, he's not going to do anything. He's being cooperative, right? So that gave him an opportunity. Of course, he was just saying whatever they wanted to hear.
Of course. He's a pathological liar. That's what they do.
He admitted to everything, but everything else was just, it was a front. I mean, he knew his end game. Rose had turned on him. He was ready to be done. Yeah. And he just wanted to get to that point, unfortunately. Yeah.
This sucks because, he was arrested in 94. He was dead in 95.
Yeah.
So less than a year.
6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
He spent just in captivity, thinking about what his thoughts probably were oh man, I've been caught for this. And 6 months was all the punishment he had for multiple lifetimes of just pure torment and abuse and torture.
It wasn't even a punishment, to be honest. He's getting checked out every day to go back to 25 Cromwell to show them where this person is buried. Yeah,
he's doing interviews.
He's
probably being rewarded for these interviews. They're giving him food and stuff. And it's not justified. It's not justice.
But then it's catch-22 because you have to keep him talking because you have to get all this information because you're not going to get it from Rose. Rose still to this day hasn't given any information.
Well, she can rot in there and not give any information all she wants. Yeah. But the fact that there's I think it's the lack of justice that gets me. All these young women that suffered horrifically and died horrifically and then were mutilated after they died, and their families. All these women went to their families. These women were just missing. No idea what happened to them for decades. And now here we are. I mean, it creates this feeling that I don't have too often of like just, it's like not even really an anger, just more of just a, like if Fred West was standing right in front of me, I genuinely think that I could just kill him.
For sure. Yeah. That's, I mean, part of my ending notes, I just wrote, fuck these people.
You did, I see it here. And the word fuck is in all caps.
Yeah, I mean, these are two of the just biggest human pieces of shit I've ever read about.
Yeah. And the worst part is like, how many more people are out there like them?
That's another thing.
That
like,
have not been caught.
Surely, like, even before they got to 25 Cromwell, even maybe it was just Fred. Like, the likelihood of them finding all of the people they murdered,
yeah,
I think is so incredibly low.
Yeah. If you don't, like, had it never been for them, like, them killing Heather was the big mistake.
That was their last one. That's eventually what led them to getting arrested.
Yeah, you don't kill your own daughter, you more than likely would have got away with all this.
That's, I mean, had they not killed Heather,
yeah,
which it's speculated that Heather was going to go to the cops because she knew what was going on. So, had you not killed Heather, you already got away with abusing your own children. Like,
that's another thing. Yeah. They're getting away with it.
Yeah, they are. I mean, intimidation.
You go to court and you intimidate your own children into not testifying against you.
Yeah.
What kind of person is that? What kind of person do you have to be to abuse your own children to begin with? Why are you having children if your only plan is to abuse them?
Fuck on a kid. You got 10 kids.
Yeah.
You got 10 living kids. You've killed 2 of them at this point.
What the hell's going on with these people?
It's a very frustrating story. Check out the Netflix documentary. I know you had thoughts on it earlier.
I'd like to watch it now.
Yeah.
That we've covered the story.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'd like to hear their take on it because sometimes Netflix can have some. Usually Netflix is pretty good about their documentaries. Sometimes it can be a little skewed, and sometimes they leave a lot of info out when it comes to certain topics and certain documentaries.
You ever watched the Making a Murderer?
Yeah.
Like those?
The show, like
notorious.
Yeah.
Like they say whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, they leave
in
out
some cases.
Absolutely, like huge pieces of information.
Just to make the show flow better, I guess.
Yeah, just to make it flow better and to make it, I guess, like, quote, easier to watch. Or to make it more engageable, if you will.
Should be it. I mean, you should tell the story.
Yeah, it should be the story told.
I hope that's what we did here. Like, I hope.
Yeah,
I hope we've told the story of what happened, and maybe, I think the women they murdered deserve to have it told the right way.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've done that.
Yeah, and I mean usually we like to keep it lighthearted, tell a few jokes maybe. And I may have told 1 or 2, but it's hard to like
you can't. No.
You read some of these paragraphs that you've typed up here, and it's like you can't even think about making a joke here.
The next 2 or 3 stories on my list are very, like, lighthearted, ghost stories, alien abduction, shit like that. So this one sucked. Like, I hated.
Yeah.
This was weeks in the making of me just looking up shit, watching documentaries, listening to Fred West interviews.
Well, I hope Fred West, in the words of this beer can, went straight to ale.
I hope he just fucking ceased to exist.
People like him, is times I wish that like hell, like the traditional form you read about is real, and I hope he's there, and I hope he's fully consciously aware of the fact that he's gonna be in pain forever. Something like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
I got nothing.
Okay.
I don't want to ever think about this again.
Yeah, I mean, you got to watch the Netflix doc.
I will.
It's a good one. But yeah, we're Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. We are on YouTube.
Yeah.
Ben is gonna make us a TikTok. He
gonna make a
committed to
TikTok.
that a few weeks ago. He's gonna get it done.
I would
Give
have
him
my
time.
wife help me. She's big on TikTok.
Yeah.
We traveled the country in an RV back about a year ago. She TikToked that whole thing, so she's gonna help me.
That's gonna happen. I don't know where we're gonna put on there, but we're gonna have one.
We'll post something. We'll post snippets, or
Yeah.
I don't know what we'll post.
Come find us. There's gonna be 5 of you.
Yeah.
You 5 keep coming back. So
Please,
we got something. Again,
please.
we'll do it for you.
We
So,
love you. No, seriously, we appreciate you.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, rate us. Give us a comment.
That's all I got.
Yeah,
Appreciate
all I
it.
got.
Bye.
See ya.